Okay. Yadaksharam Veda Vido Vadanti Vishanti Yadyatayo Vitaragaha Yadichanto Brahmacharyam Charanti Tatte Padam Sangrahena Pravakshe. This is the 11th verse in the 8th chapter. Now here he is talking about not this verse and the next verse, Om iti ekaksharam Brahma. The, the beautiful thing that he is introducing, Krishna is introducing about Aksharam Brahma. Aksharam, we saw in the preview, the whole chapter is Akshara Brahma Yoga, right? So he is introducing what is called as Akshara Brahma. Akshara means that which is not, that which cannot be destroyed. Na kshayati, na ksharati, iti aksharaha. That which cannot be destroyed or destructed. It's indestructible. Now this indestructible, he calls it as Aksharam Brahma. In the previous one also, he makes a mention of Aksharam Brahma because he is talking about not the letters Akshara. See, the letters are also called Akshara because that is the most, you cannot divide it any further. Those are called Aksharas. But he is not talking about those letters or Aksharas. He is referring to Brahman, or that supreme consciousness, that is Akshara, which means it is never destroyed. It can never be destroyed. And this also corroborated in the second law of thermodynamics. This energy cannot be destroyed. It can only be transformed from one form to the other. The whatever energy that was there at the beginning will always remain at the end. There's only transformation from one. Mechanical can become electrical can become nuclear, whatever. It can change forms, but energy will remain constant. The energy that is there in this universe remains constant. So that's a corroboration in scientific terms. But here he is talking about consciousness. Now, this energy is conscious. It is not unconscious energy. It is conscious energy. And this consciousness, Satchitananda, this consciousness is always existing. It is Akshara, cannot be destroyed. You cannot, how do you destroy existence? Right? How do you destroy that which is? The isness cannot be destroyed. Right? And this whole consciousness that he's speaking about is what is. See, the problem with what is, the understanding of what is very difficult for us because we think what is always related to what is my body, what is this person who I am, what is this neighbor I have, what is the society I live in, what is, we think this is what is. But this is at a very, very fundamental level. The what is represented here is at a very fundamental level, which means whatever that you perceive is. அது இல்லாம போகாது இல்லையா? மாறும். It can change forms and shapes. இருப்பு அப்படிங்கிறது cannot go away. This is a beautiful term that is used in Tamil. இருப்பு. So, like we've spoken about this before. நான் இருக்கேன் அப்படிங்கிறது, I am there. I am, not I am there. I am there is also, when you look at it, it is I am here, I am there. There is space. We're talking about I am. The awareness of being aware. There's one saint beautifully said, it is being aware of being aware. You are aware, you're now but being aware that you are aware. What happens? This is spiritual understanding. Spiritual understanding brings us to that awareness of our awareness. See, are you aware in general? If somebody comes and asks, are you aware? Oh, yes, I am. We'll say, yes, I am aware. Sahaja state, correct. Which means there is no, so sahaja state here means there is no effort to get into the state of awareness. That awareness is always there. What are you aware of? What are you aware of in sahaja state, or in for a realized person or a muni? What is that person aware of? He is aware of the fact that he is observing. He is aware of awareness. If you take awareness as a noun, as a thing, if you look at awareness as a thing, but it's very difficult, right? Because you are the subject. You are the subject and you are aware of yourself. And not just yourself, you are aware of everything around you. And this awareness cannot be destroyed. You can become unconscious. Somebody knocks me on my head, I can become unconscious. Those are different states of mind. Or I go to deep sleep, I can be completely knocked off. My mind is not operating. But my mind is not operating. Awareness is there. Awareness is not going away. And this experience of awareness comes only, it cannot be transmitted theoretically. How much ever we read about awareness and consciousness and all of this, it cannot be, it can only be experienced in the presence of somebody like Ramana Maharshi. You go to Ramana Maharshi's, you sit there, you are in the Sanidhyam, you experience it. What do you experience? Sometimes you will not have any words to experience, to say what I experience, but you will experience complete silence. You'll experience a presence. This presence has no purpose. This presence has no objective. It is not getting anywhere. It is not trying to do something. It is like a fragrance. Udvati etinonna, like Jittu Krishnamurti very beautifully says. Somebody asked him, well, you're teaching so much, you're doing all of this. Yeah, what are you trying to achieve? What is the objective? Then he says, what is the purpose of a rose? What is the purpose of a rose? It blossoms, it spreads its fragrance. And it spreads its fragrance. But the rose is not trying to spread its fragrance. The rose is present. Its fragrance spreads in its presence. That is all its purpose is. You're just there and you let that fragrance spread. Problem is when you're trying to do something, there is so much focus on the activity that this presence is lost. This fragrance, we forget about this fragrance. And this is how we should be, right? In our presence, people just feel something. They just feel some fragrance, some beautiful, they just feel good. They just feel, they can feel whatever, different things. But then this presence makes them feel closer to themselves. The presence should make them feel a little calmer about themselves, a little more peace. They should be able to connect to that peace within themselves. This is Aksharam. This is something that cannot be destroyed. When Devadatta asked Buddha, what did you gain after doing so much tapas and all that? He said, I didn't gain anything. I lost everything. I lost my identity. I lost my possessions. I lost my ego. I lost the ahankara. I lost. But what happened? His fragrance was so strong that his presence was so strong that so many people just came around him, like bees coming to a flower. And that
famous said about the Ramakrishna Paramahamsa as well, right? It's like the lotus, the people flocked to him like bees.
Just flocked to him. He was just in one place. He didn't move. People just came. This is Aksharam. This cannot be destroyed. Nobody can, people can come and kill the body, beat the person up, but this presence cannot be destroyed. So he says, Yadaksharam Veda Vido Vadanti. This is the presence that all these wise ones talk about. Scholars describe him as imperishable. Vishanti Veda Vido Vadanti. Vishanti Yadyatayo Vitaragaha. So, and how do these yogis, the Yatayaha, yogis, how do yogis get into this state of consciousness of this Aksharam Brahma, or this state of recognizing this Aksharam Tattva within them? How do they enter into this? They enter through Yadichanto Brahmacharyam Charanti. So Vitaragaha, by giving up passion, by giving up Raga Dvesha and holding on to Brahmacharyam. Vitaragaha is essentially free from attachment. So they are giving up attachments, or you look at Raga as Raga Dvesha, right? You look at it as Raga Dvesha, which means you are, Raga in this context is also used as attachment, but also means you go towards something that you like and you run away from something that you dislike. So Raga Dvesha. So this you are free. How are they free? By Yadichanto Brahmacharyam Charanti, by holding on to or following or walking the path of Brahmacharya, celibacy. Celibacy means Brahmam Samipe Gachati, or Charanti Brahmacharyam. The one who is walking towards Brahman is Brahmacharya. We always immediately correlate it with relationships, physical relationships, and things like that, right? Or we also correlate Brahmacharya as a stage of life in the ashrama dharma. Brahmacharyam, Grahastha, Vanaprastha, and Sannyasa. We say Brahmacharya is the stage of life. Brahmacharya, the other meaning also is one who is steadfast in this mission, or in this walk towards Brahman, towards the understanding of Brahman. So when you are steadfast, you become a Brahmacharya. You can be married, you can be living a family life, but you will be a Brahmacharya if you are steadfast in this resolution. Tatte padam sangrahena pravakshe. Such people enter into me. Brahmam charati iti upapada samasam dane. Amam. Upapada samasam. Terilama. I don't know what upapada samasam is.
Upapada.
Upapada, I
It's a
don't.
verb, yeah, the charati.
Oh, okay. Well,
Jalam jayate and the marla சொல்றால jalam jayate. It's
Jalam
called
jayate is upapada samasam, is it?
anything that has a verb.
I see.
in the-
Maybe, yeah. Then if that's the context, yes. Then Brahmacharyam is Brahmam Charati Brahmacharya. So that is the 11th verse. In the 12th verse, Sarvadvarani Sayyam. Yeah. So now he is talking about how do you bring this state of mind. And this he's been talking about how to do yoga, how to do dhyana meditation. He's repeating. Sarvadvarani Sanyamya Manohridi Niridhya cha Murdhnyadhyatmana Murdhnya Adhayatmanah Pranam Asthito Yoga Dharanam. So one who Sarva Dwarani, which means all the gates. There are 9 gates, right? In our body. The 2 eyes, 2 nose, mouth, 2 ears. So much is 2, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. The anus and the reproductive this thing. So there are 9 doors through which either action is done, or you consume knowledge from it's either a karmendriya or a jnanendriya. These gates are through which you interact with the world. So he's saying sarva dwarani sanyamya. From all the gates you bring in some level of sanyama. Sanyama means to bring some level of regulation. Yama niyama. Those are familiar with the Ashtanga Yoga of Patanjali. The first 2 says Yama Niyama. Yama means to regulate. Pranayama. means regulation of the breath. So here is saying sarvadvarani sanyamya, sanyami. So you become a controller or a regulator through all the gates that are available to you. And manohridi nirudhyacha, you establish. Nirudhya is to establish in the heart. So you close all the gates, which means you go into silence in a state of meditation. You, of course, you first close all the gates of your house, your room. You come to a room, you close the doors so that nobody disturbs you. Always for meditation, find a silent spot. When you're practicing meditation, you close all those doors, and of course make sure that is there is it's good, there is enough ventilation, you can breathe, you can, there's this sufficient air and ventilation and all that. We are not trained to go and meditate in caves and all, right? You can't close everything and it'll be hard. So we sit in a comfortable sukhasana. This, in the 6th chapter, he talks about sukhasana. You sit in the asana, which is completely comfortable asana with a kusha. He says in that chapter, he talks about how you sit, etc. And then you bring your focus to the bhru madhya, right? So those things he has spoken about. He is selling, again, he is bringing that our attention to this particular way of meditation, where you remove all you do pratyahara. Again, this is, I think, the 5th one in Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, Ashtanga Yoga. Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara. So we, Kalpaka is saying we are using cushion instead of kusha. So yeah, so we are partly there. We are still adhering to what Krishna is saying. So we are sitting on cushions. So pratyahara is sanyamya, which sarvadvarani sanyam. You do pratyahara, withdraw your senses, and manohridi nirudhyacha, establish and lock your mind in your heart. Murdhni adhaya atmanah pranam asthita yoga dharanam. So which means you he says murdhni adhaya atmanah, which means you bring your attention to your head here. So you establish your mind in the heart, but you establish the mind in your heart, and says let the mind rest in this place. And by the way, the heart is not, let's not visualize the heart as the pumping heart, that it's not the physical heart we're talking about. It's the what is called as the adhyatma hridayam, the spiritual heart, which is, according to Ramana Maharshi, it is on the right side. Ramana Maharshi says that we know the physical heart is on the left, right? But the spiritual heart is on the right, says Adhyatma. But Narayana Suktam, etc., talks about the heart right in the center here, between the diaphragm comes to an end, this thing, and it somewhere in this spot, and this is where the Jivatma is like an inverted lotus. That's how the Narayana Suktam talks about the Atma. But the point here is, you bring your attention, you bring your manas here, and then you bring your attention to your bhru madhya. So between the eyebrows or in the heart, you basically, between these 2 points, these two are points of concentration for meditation. Then pranam asthita yoga dharanam. Then you establish yourself in this breath and you go into a yoga. Yoga means union. Union of what? Union of mind and the mind and the heart, union of the breath and the body, union of your intellect and the agnya or the bhru madhya. So you bring a union of all of these elements, and also union of all your indriyas, jnanendriyas and karmendriyas. You bring them together into the mind. So essentially the whole focus is your mind. The way this works is, your mind tells now, okay, I am going to bring all my indriyas or all the organs of perception and organs of action, I bring it in my mind, I bring it into my attention, and the mind now has all that. And now I bring my mind into my heart and I say, I rest it in my heart, and then I breathe. So the breath is from the heart, right? So your breathing is always, it's from the heart, it comes out of the nostril, from the nostril goes into the heart, right? So this breath, you just look at this breath, and then you bring your attention, when the breath is moving here, you bring your attention to the Agnya or the Bhrumadhya. So this is the space where you concentrate. You bring your attention, withdraw all your senses and focus and pay attention to the space. Then there is Yoga Dharanam, which means there is unison of your attention, unison of your faculties, unison of the mind and intellect, and unison of your emotion. All of these factors are coming united, and then you go into, you unite. To be united is yoga. To be in unison is yoga. Yuj ityukte, the root of that word, the dhatu of yoga is yuj. Yuj means to unite, yoke, to come together. So all of this, you bring it together, your breath, your senses, your mind, your intellect, that's making all these decisions, and then your emotions, which is in your heart. All of this, you bring it into your attention. So now it's you who is existing through all of this, and then you go into a state of dharana. Dharana is single pointed focus. Then you go into dhyana and samadhi. So if you notice, Ashtanga yoga is here, right? You got pranayama, is mentioned. So first he's talking about you bring your senses in one place, pratyahara. So before that, then he says pranam asthitaha. So your prana is pranayama, then your pratyahara, then dharana, dhyana, samadhi. So this is the method he is talking about. Then he talks about Om iti ek aksharam, eka aksharam brahma, vyaharan mam anusmaran, yaf prayati tyajan deham sayati paramam gatim. Now, when we are able to focus and bring our attention to this, Krishna is also giving us another tool. Another tool is the sound of Om. Om iti eka aksharam Brahma. So in the previous this thing, he spoke about Aksharam Brahma, indestructible Brahman. But how can it be represented? How do I perceive it? How do I experience it? How do I connect with it? If these are the questions, how do I connect with this experience of Aksharam Brahma, consciousness, supreme consciousness that is ever existing, always present? How do I connect with it? He gives a symbol. The symbol is Om. The sound of Om, the Akshara of Om, the way Om is written. So you look at Om, you bring Om into your minds, you bring attention onto that Om. Because see, what will happen in the previous verse, he spoke about Sarvadvarani Sanyamya Manohridi Nirudhyacha. So you can do this, but then the mind will start again going all over the place, right? So how do you restrict the mind from going around? Is you give it a symbol to hold on to. What is that symbol? Om. So he says that Aksharam Brahma that I am talking about is represented through this Omkara. Omkara is two. Om Akara, the Akara of Om, and Omkara, the sound. So the sound, you listen, you play Om, you can listen to Om, and then you meditate upon this form of Om in your Agnya. Right? When we do this, Vyaharan Mam Anusmaran. So he's saying it in continuous, present continuous. By chanting this Om and keeping his mind on me, the one who leaves this body, Yaha Prayati Tyajan Deham Sayati Paramam Gatim. He attains to this ultimate final destination. right? He drops the body while thinking of this, or even being in the body thinking of this, he attains to that highest state of understanding, liberation. But when you drop the body, then liberation becomes this complete dissolution. Till the point you're in the body, even a Jivan Mukta, he is still bound by the Prarabdha, right? When the body drops, the Prarabdha also drops, and there's complete dissolution or complete. Um, that is why in in our culture, we generally, when somebody dies, we say he's attained to the feet of the Lord, Narayana Gatim, or Shiva. He's attained to the feet of Shiva, the lotus feet of Lord Shiva. So what it means is he is merging into the supreme consciousness, the supreme being. So this happens through this process of Om, the meditation on Om. You continue to do it, the mind stays in that. In fact, it is very important to, I mean, if it's possible, keep playing Omkara in the house, in your prayer room, and wherever, where your altar, wherever. If you can keep playing Omkara, that vibration creates a presence, a space. It creates a very, very beautiful space of silence, calm, meditativeness. This is again my personal experience. Wherever we have set up an altar, always had Omkara being played. I've been doing for years now. So that space, even when you are not there, that Omkara, the vibration and the the shabdam, the shabda, the nada of Omkara reverberates in that space. And when you go and sit down, you will, and if you tune yourself slowly, you'll be able to reverberate in that nada. You'll be able to find peace in that nada. Now, yesterday we spoke, we were discussing on Ramanavami, we were talking about Rama, the two letters of Rama, right? How powerful and potent is Rama Aksharam. Those are two Aksharas. Bhagavan Krishna points out to one Akshara. He says Om iti ekaksharam. Rama is the personified form. Om is the abstract form. So if you want to feel, have an emotion, have a connect with a form, Rama. So then you chant Rama, Rama, and you think of the form and think of the gunas and all of that, the attributes. That gives you a connection with the heart. There's an emotional connect that you create. But for a yogi who's able to not necessarily associate a physical connection or a personal form, connection of form, that yogi or that person, that sadhaka can focus on Om. Because Om is just sound. It has got no religion. It has got no, even within the Hindu religion, it doesn't have any specific philosophy that we are following. All philosophies within the religion, even Sikh, Ek Omkar, the Sikh religion holds on to that. They write this symbol Ek Omkar, which means the one Omkara. So this is an abstract form, but it's a symbol. It is a symbol. It's written in a certain form, and the symbol has meaning. There is a whole Mandukya Upanishad which is written on the Omkara, Akara, Ukara, Makara, the three forms of the sound and the three states of consciousness it represents. There is a whole Upanishad that's written on it, Mandukya Upanishad.
Taittiriya Upanishad கூட வரும்.
Taittiriya Upanishad also mentions it.
அந்த பெருமையை சொல்லிட்டு
Omiti Ekakshar, Amma, correct. Correct. So, yeah, that's true. So Taittiriya Upanishad also mentions it. In Mandukya Upanishad, the focus of 13 verses of Mandukya Upanishad is on Omkara, and there is a commentary written by Adi Shankara's Paramaguru, Govind, Gaudapadacharya. He's written a Karika on Mandukya Upanishad, 200 plus verses. There's a full description of that, right? So Krishna is talking about that Om. So he speaks about Aksharam Brahma. Then he talks about Om as that Aksharam Brahma, the symbol of Aksharam Brahma. Kalpaka Omkara Bindu Samyuktam Nityam Dhyayanti Yoginah Kamadam Mokshadam Chaiva Omkaraya Namo Namah. It's a beautiful shloka for Omkara. Omkara Bindu Samyuktam Nityam Dhyayanti Yoginah. Which is what he's saying. All yogis always do dhyana on that Nityam Dhyayanti Yoginah. Kamadam Mokshadam Chaiva. So it gives you both Kama and Moksha. Kamadam Mokshadam Chaiva Omkaraya Namo Namah. So this abstract form or the symbol of Om can also be considered as a powerful tool for meditation. Right? Om is not having a form. A lot of us, what we also do is just to make it artistically beautiful, we use Ganesha or the Pranava and overlay it on Ganesha because he is also known as Pranava Swarupa, right? So we overlay it and we see Omkara as Ganesha. But Omkara as itself, as the form of Om, the letter Om itself is a very powerful tool for meditation. Both the form and the sound. So that is the Omkara iti ekaksharam. Om iti ekaksharam Brahma Vyaharan Mam Anusmaran, who establishes and fixes and keeps chanting this in his mind and thinks of me as this. I am not different from the Omkara, which means the Supreme Brahman, Aksharam Brahma. Mam, in this case, Krishna is referring to himself as the Aksharam Brahma. So one who thinks of Om as the symbol of this Aksharam Brahma, Yaha Prayati Yajan Deham Sayati Paramangatim. He goes to this highest abode. Ananya Chetaha Satatam Yomam Smarati Nityashaha. Without moving the mind, like a flame that doesn't move in the wind. In the flame, when you want to establish, when you light a lamp or diya, and if there is wind around, how do you ensure that the flame doesn't move? You put some kind of a protection around. So like that, we have to protect our mind. It is always outward going, right? It's going outward. And we also, by means of watching all of the content that we watch, there is an overload of information, right? Today, through social media, through the television that we watch, through the channels that we watch, etc. There's so much of overload of information. What happens is the mind is constantly jumping. Mind is constantly jumping. It doesn't know to be still in one place. It doesn't know. We have not trained it at all. More and more, in fact, kids, as you see, kids are growing. It's becoming a scary world for them because they don't know what it means to be still. They don't know. Because by being still, there is this thing that is coming now, right? FOMO, fear of missing out. So if they're still, means there is something else is happening in the world. I am still, I will miss it. So they fear being still because they feel the world is moving. If I become still and the world continues to move, then I will miss out. When I come out of my stillness, then suddenly I'll be behind everybody. So the stillness is extremely important. We must inculcate this from young age, even though the child does not see. How do we train a child or a young person is not by forcing them to do something. It is by taking them to an environment which allows them to be still. See, now we take them to a temple also. Temple, what happens? There is so much of noise and cacophony and pa, poo, poo, this, that, and the other, the archana, mantra, everything is going, or some kacheri, something is happening, some nadaswaram is going around. There's sound. We have to take them to environments which are peaceful, calm, and let them experience that calm and peace. That will make an imprint in their hearts and minds. And then they will slowly, that memory of that peace and calm in an environment will start slowly building on them, and they will try to look for it. As they grow older, they'll try to remember it, recollect it, because by nature we want to be peaceful. Shanti, 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 we say, right? That is our nature. So naturally, we will try to look for it. The problem is if you don't introduce kids to such places of calm and solitude and quietude, when there is too much of noise in the world, they will not know where to look for it. And then as they grow older, they will desperately look for meditation teachers and this ashram, that guru, this guru. They will desperately look for some technique, and then some techniques don't work. Then they'll look for another technique. They will do this technique for 5 months. This will not work because they have not known how to be in a quiet environment. That's something that we must introduce slowly. We must take them along, be in a quiet environment for some time, and then give them as exposure. Ananya chetaha satatam yomam smarati nityashah. Without deviating the mind, without flickering the mind, can one focus on me? Nityashah vudrungo. Nityashah is eternally, forever, all the time, regularly. Even for like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, can I just keep my mind focused on one thing? This is something that we should also train ourselves, our kids. I must train myself to, I should tell myself now I'm not going to look at anything else. For the phone is on one thing. The phone, we tend to take the phone and look at the phone. I'm saying, keeping the phone aside also, even within ourselves, our mind keeps jumping. This is the next thing I must do. This is the next thing I must do. With focus and attention, I focus or I train myself to Yaha Mam Smarati. Mam Smarati means who thinks of me. But what I am saying is who thinks of whatever. Think of Rama, think of Krishna, think of Guru, think of Omkara. Whatever you pick up, think of that for a period of time. Smarati. Bring your attention to that. Keep your attention to that without the distraction of anything else. Even if you're thinking of Krishna, there are 100 stories of Krishnas coming in your mind, and from that story, something will come, from something will come, something will come. No. Krishna, I'm just looking at the form of Krishna. I'm going to think of this for the next 10 minutes. That is all. Train our mind. We must train our mind this way. Tasyaham sulabhav partha. So then he says, then for such a person, it is very easy. Sulabhaha. Partha nitya yuktasya yoginaha. So such a yogi is always absorbed in me. Why? Because it becomes easy for him. How has it become easy? Because he's trained himself. Nityashaha smarati yahamam. The one who constantly thinks about me, it becomes very easy. See, somebody who keeps thinking about money all the time, right? I want to earn money. I want to save money. How do I spend money? How do I look for discounts? How do I look for sale? How do I look for how do I, do I buy it online or do I buy it, go to the shop and buy? And somebody's constantly thinking about this. What do you think for him, for that person? It becomes very easy to, when your mind is constantly just thinking about aspects of money and aspects of finances and your household finances, etc. Mind is constantly thinking around that. It becomes very easy for such a person to, when you will be surprised, you'll say, எப்படி உங்களுக்கு அங்க சேல் நடக்கிறதுன்னு தெரியுது அப்படி நமக்கு ஆச்சரியமா இருக்கும். I know some people I've seen, they'll know exactly where a sale is happening for furnitures. They'll know exactly when there is a sale happening for draperies or for this thing, for your shirts and pants and all of that. They'll know. And we'll wonder how.
There are shopping apps where you can actually get deals of the day.
But these people are apps themselves. They will be so sharp that they'll see something somewhere, they'll remember the dates, they'll this, that, and the other, and they'll know exactly when and where.
There are even some others who will regularly go to the shop just to find out when the sale is.
And the sale is occurring. So it's interesting. See, the point here is if the mind dwells on that, it becomes very easy for the mind to, such a mind you go and ask, they'll be very easily tell you how to do, where is the right time to buy. Eid month Varda, that is the right time to buy. People stock 10 liters, 12, 20 liters of, groceries. I know they stock during Eid because we get good sale. Right? There's a good sale price. Then when that happens, your mind is constantly thinking of that. So what he's saying is, when your mind is constantly thinking about me, then for such a yogi, it becomes very simple. Nitya yuktasya yoginaha. He becomes very easily attains me, because mind is constantly thinking. Now the choice is for us to decide what do we want our minds to constantly think about. It is our choice, right? Then the 15th verse he says, Mam upetya punarjanma dukkhalayam ashashvatam. Nanu na apnuvanti mahatmanah samsiddhim paramam gataha. So such a person, he says, goes and does not come back. Does not come back where? He does not come back to this place, which is a place of miseries. This place is ashashvatam. It is a dukkha alayam. He refers to earth as dukkha alayam. Alayam means a temple, right? We usually refer to alayam as a temple, but alayam is a place. Part in there's this, the public toilets are called a shauchalayam, where you go and cleanse yourself, right? Shauchalayam. And then what is the school called?
BJP office is called Kamalalayam. BJP office is Kamalalayam.
Kamalalayam. And Vidyalaya. So Vidyalayam is school where you learn education. So like that, Alayam is a place where you go for a particular purpose. So now he says, Dukkhalayam, this place is earth for Punarjanma. When you come back, this place is a Dukkhalaya, a place of miseries, a place of pain and suffering and sorrow. And it is ashashvatam. It is transient. It is not permanent. It's transient. Na apnuvanti mahatmana samsiddhim. So he says, for such mahasiddhis, of people who have attained to this previous state, the verse that I've in the previous verse, O Arjuna, what I've explained, the one who has come to this place where they've easily attained to me, Paramam Gatim, they don't have to come back to this place again. They don't need to go through this pain and suffering. This is an assurance that Krishna is giving. Okay. Then in the 16th verse, he says, Abrahma bhuvanan lokaha punaravarti norjuna mamupetya tu kaunteya punarjanmana vidyate. Continues to say that once somebody attains to this state of consciousness, one doesn't have, once they attain, they don't have to come back. But till then, they have to come back again and again. Even though Abrahma bhuvanat lokaha, which means Brahma loka varikyo. So we do this Sandhyavandanam, we do pranayam, we do this, right? Bhur bhuva swa ma janah tapah satyam. Satyam loka is the Brahma loka. Bhur bhuva swa maha janah tapah satyam. The 7 lokas upwards. Of course, there are 7 lokas below. But we're talking, assuming we are doing good things and we're going up, up, up. Thus, even if you touch the highest loka, Brahma loka, you have to come back as long as you don't attain to me. So any loka that you go to is not equivalent to attaining me. That is what he says. Even if you go to Brahma loka, there you will have to sit and go through this whole process. Brahma bhuvanat lokaha puna avartinah Arjuna. So you'll have to come back. Even if you go to Brahma loka, you may have to come back either to Bhuloka, or you may be circling in Brahma loka itself. It doesn't mean you have attained to me. Until you are completely absorbed in me all the time, thinking about me like a yogi. Mam upetya tu kaunteya punarjanmana vidyate. So one who has attained me, such a person doesn't have to go to any loka. Now for us, all lokas essentially mean any form of loka could be whether it's existing here or there, Bhur, Bhuva, Swaha, we don't know whether it may be existing here itself, right? All the 7 lokas or 14 lokangal may be existing as different dimensions here itself. Right? We may be dropping this body, but we may be existing in different dimensions in this space itself. So it means that even whether you are in this body or not, as long as you're existing in this, on these different dimensions, as a sukshma sharira, you're just moving around as a sukshma sharira also, or a different, you take a different form, different lokas, you will be given different bodies or different forms. Wherever you go, don't think that going into a higher loka gives you liberation or complete moksha or complete dissolution into me. No, that is different. Lokas are different. Lokas are depending on the karma that we do, we get a better body. Now, if you consider the current bhuloka, we've come through 6 other lokas from the bottom, right? From Patala, we have come so many other lokas. So consider that we are at a very good state, right? But it doesn't solve anything. But it gives us an opportunity to understand that jumping through these lokas is not going to help us really. We have to transcend all these lokas. I don't want to be in any of these lokas because again I have to come back again. Punaravartate. I'll have to come back again and again and again. So he says, but once you recognize this as the truth, I don't want any more lokas. I just want to merge into you. I want to dissolve and drop my whole identity and dissolve into you, become part of you, merge into you, whatever. Then there is a beauty. Then there is beauty. Then there is complete. Then there is tyaga. There's complete renunciation that happens. And with that renunciation, with that thought, so the beauty of tyaga is that you are not desiring anything there. All desires are dropping off. Tyage naike amritatva manushu. So, with that, Krishna is saying that once such a person comes into me, he doesn't have to go back to any other forms, lower forms or higher forms, no forms. He has become mine. Right? So this is the close of the 16th verse. So we will pause here today. Om Kayena Vacha Manasendriyerva Buddhyatmana Va Prakrite Svabhava करोमि यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणायेति समर्पयामि सदाशिवायेति समर्पयामि जगदम्बिकायै समर्पयामि सद्गुरुनाथायेति समर्पयामि हरि ओम तत्सद्गुरुभ्यो नमः हरि ओम